to executive session, so I am looking for a motion.
Mr. President, I move the Board of Education of USD 501 recess into executive session for 30 minutes to discuss confidential personnel matters pursuant to the personnel exception of the Kansas Open Meetings Act to protect the privacy of the individuals discussed. The board will return to open session in the boardroom at 6:01 p.m. The superintendent and executive staff are invited into executive session.
Is there a second on that? Mr. Munoz? Any discussion? Okay, we'll go to a vote.
All votes are in and the motion carries.
Thank you. Okay, it is 6:01. And so we will resume our meeting and we will move into the Pledge of Allegiance.
Perfect. Normally I call someone up and I look for the youngest person in the room. Oh, will you two help me do the Pledge of Allegiance? You are absolutely beautiful. All three of you. Come on up. Come on so we can get the meeting started. Anybody that's willing to come up that wants to be on camera. And I'm going to help you. All right, here we go. She doesn't want to come. Oh, and you have a superhero shirt. You have a superhero attitude too. Okay, well, you can stop right there. All right, I'm going to turn around. Look, they can all see you. All right, we're going to put our hand over our heart. And what are your names?
Zane, Elijah,
And what school do you go to?
Jordan.
Oh, wow. All right. And we're going to say the Pledge of Allegiance together, okay? 1, 2, 3.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That is the best pledge I've ever heard in my life. What grade are you in?
5th,
And what grade are you in?
2nd.
You're almost my height. Thank you so much for the pledge. Good handshake. Thank you. Good handshake. All right. Let's give them an applause. Good job.
Okay, we will move into the adoption of the agenda. And so I am looking for a motion for that.
Mr. President, I move the board adopt the agenda as presented.
Is there a second for that motion? Ms. Smoley, thank you. Any discussion on the agenda? Okay, if not, we will go for a vote.
All votes are in and the motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. And we will move into school highlights next.
All right, it's one of our favorite areas. As Mr. Schaefer comes forward, this is our housekeeping award. So we get a chance to meet all these people who keep our schools gleaming. So I'll turn it over to Mr. Schaefer.
Good evening, board members. Thanks for allowing me to come and speak to you 2 weeks in a row, or 2 board meetings in a row. It's been a couple of years since we've gotten in front of you and highlighted these special individuals, these special custodians on our team. But for those who are unaware of our housekeeping awards and how they work, basically myself and Jeff Dickinson, our custodial operations supervisor, we work hand in hand in going through all of our properties twice a year, once in the fall and once in the spring. And what that does is allow for us to not only get our feet on the ground and our eyes on our buildings to ensure that there's a high level of cleanliness taking place for our staff and students, but it also gives us an opportunity to utilize a scoring system to rank, proficiency between building operators, and ultimately identify those who are doing the most excellent job at cleaning and maintaining their facilities. So with that being said, I would like to give them, those who are being recognized tonight, a big thank you. What they do is thankless work. What it is sometimes unrecognized, but in my opinion, it is one of the most impactful roles that we have the ability to utilize and serve our staff and students with. They're consistent. They come in every day, put their head down, and really do the dirtiest of work in some aspects. And ultimately, I think that it has a really, truly profound effect on the environment that our staff and students are able to enjoy. So with that being said, I'll have Mr. Dickinson come up and help me present the awards, unless you guys have some questions.
Come right on over here. And do you have principals that are here with them?
Yes.
Will you call them? Will you want the principals to come on up?
Yes, that would be very nice. If, as we're calling each group up, it would be great if our principals who are in attendance could also walk up here and receive their award. And then at the conclusion, we can get together for some photos. So to start us off, we'll go first with our high school. This year, we are awarding the housekeeping award to Topeka High. And the principal for that group is Principal Dick. And tonight, our head building operator, Linda Palmore, was not able to attend, but her second in command, Mr. Robert Lonan. Mr. Lonan has been with us for a short time, but he has had a profound effect on the overall operation at Topeka High, and we're very proud of the work that he and his team have been able to perform on a nightly basis over at that property.
Any comment that you'd like to say? I don't know if we always do that, but it's a handful of principals, so I'm going to turn it over to you to say a comment if you'd like to.
Sure. I would just say, Topeka High is a very large place. There are lots of things that happen at Topeka High, and really our custodial crew does a fantastic job. There's grounds to maintain, 3 levels of the school, all of the athletic areas, all the events that happen, and they work really well together and pretty hard to make sure that the building stays clean and ready and open for anybody and everything we need them to do. And they do a fantastic job. So thank you.
Thank you. Later at the very end, we'll take one picture with everyone. All right.
Next up, we have our middle school awardee. Chase Middle School was the recipient this year. The administrators are Dr. Hannah Taylor and our assistant principal, Robert Gay. And the head building operator there is Mr. Jason Hill. And his second 8-hour custodian is Sharon Bruchard. All right. Thank you very much.
Dr. Taylor, would you like to make a comment?
Sure would.
I just want to thank our custodial staff. It, like Mr. Dick said, it truly makes a difference on the atmosphere of the school. Just when it smells good when you walk in, the bathrooms smell good. That's hard to do sometimes in a middle school, but I unlocked the bathroom door this morning and that's what was there. And that's because of the work they do, the attention they take, all the little details, and it just makes a profound impact. So congratulations.
Our next award recipient is going to be Scott Elementary. And tonight we have Lisa Martinez in attendance from the administrator perspective. And then Mr. Taylor Zerker is our head building operator who has worked very diligently to earn this award. Yep.
Good evening. Hello. Just like everyone said, there is no way that we could survive even a day without our custodial staff. And today in my weekly meeting with Mr. Zerker, I was just reflecting on not only the work he does, but his leadership in leading the 2 other custodians, his communication with regard to work orders, being there when I say, hey, what's going on with this? He is incredibly responsive, and we couldn't be more lucky to have someone as dedicated as him in our building. And besides from that, the kids just love him to pieces. So thank you and congratulations again.
And our final recipient is going to be Capital City High School. Mr. Randy Wild is the principal in his first year. And then also in his first year is Eric LeBlanc, our building operator.
Congratulations, sir.
Yeah, one of the big things that sticks out to me when we talk about Eric is the pride that he takes in his work. He's very responsive, very eager to help, but he takes extreme pride in what our building looks like each day, and that means a lot to me. And he also has built tremendous relationships in our building. Students know him, staff know him. He interacts with everyone in the building, so pretty special all-around guy. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Covers everybody?
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, we'll take a couple minutes, take a picture. I don't know if anybody has comments from the board for our winners this evening. I'll say personally, with at least 2 out of my 3 kids, the favorite person in their building, especially in elementary school, was the custodian. And the relationship, it takes all different types of people. It's all different types of kids. And the pride that you guys have in your job. You can see the pride, obviously, but it makes us proud. So I just want to say thank you very much. Yeah, Mr. Tatum.
I wanted to follow up on a comment that Mr. Schaefer made. Mr. Schaefer mentioned that the job that our custodians do is often thankless. This is an opportunity to show gratitude and thankfulness for the hard work that these individuals do tirelessly day in and day out. And just think about what the environment, and Dr. Taylor alluded to this, how much if the custodians weren't in the buildings doing what they do, how much that would absolutely change the physical environment on a day-to-day basis. As someone who has done custodial work, proudly, the work that these folks are doing for the benefit of our students and other employees of the district is incredible. And they are people, like Dr. Schumacher said, that these are folks that build relationships with our students, because they are there, and the students can trust them and get to know them and see them as they're out and about doing their day-to-day jobs. So we can't possibly repay all of them for what they are worth, but this is a great opportunity for us to say thank you for you all and everybody else who's doing this work for our district.
Ms. Spolie, do you want to say something real quick?
I would like to
Turn on your microphone, Ms. Spolie.
I just would like to thank each of them. When I walk in the buildings, it is so obvious that you have pride in what you do and that you love Topeka Public Schools and the students you're working with and the staff you're working with, that you have taken so much pride and accepted them as like your family. That means so much to us, that you love on those students and staff like we would like everybody to do. So we really appreciate that. And then at Scott, I just wanted to give you a warning. DKG was there all afternoon and I was punching holes, and there's like the workroom there looks like there's confetti all over the floor. And I'm really sorry. That really was my fault. And I know that even if we tried to pick it up, you still got some of that. So thank you. Thank you very much for cleaning that up for us.
Thank you, Ms. Spolie.
I like being a custodian because I get to be with the kids every day while keeping a clean building. It keeps them focused, happy, and just for them to have fun.
It's a job of skill, and you really have to be skilled. Average day is come in, open the building, and make sure nothing's been compromised overnight or anything like that. The best part of the job is kids.
I like working with the kids. I like working with the staff here at Robinson. And you sit down in the commons and you watch the kids interact with each other. and some of them are just hilarious and sweet.
Being in a place to where you have, hundreds and hundreds of hands and, people, it's always an important role to keep things clean. When I first started here, it was a saying on the wall, and it said that you can get there from here, and that's all it said. And that always kind of stuck with me.
I would say just be genuine, be yourself. Just make it the best thing you're gonna do, whatever it is. So if you're the custodian, just be the best custodian. You just wanna be a little bit better than you were yesterday. And if you could be that, that is an award-winning thing right there.
All right, as we prepare to take photos again, thank you so much for all that you do. And it's amazing in your first year to be getting this award. And some people work 10 and 20 years for that. You all keep the building shining. You were behind the scenes. And for Chase, and I know we have a new principal there, that's when we're in orange tonight. Proud of all that you do, sir, and the energy that when we walk in the room, as well as Scott and all of our buildings. Topeka High, that is such a challenge. We appreciate you and that full team tremendously. We also, as we get ready to stop and take a break, I believe for our Mr. Lowers may be in the audience, I believe for audiology and speech pathology. But as we transition to take this photo, I don't believe you have speech pathologists or audiologists here this evening. We do, our audiologists, our one audiologist, all these people, she even has an ear shirt on. And so if we can delay that photo for just a moment.
Yeah.
Originally, I didn't think anyone was going to come. I thought he'd come up and just share a little bit. So really, since you are here, how wonderful. Mr. Lowers is just going to introduce our audiologist. If you have questions for her, share a little bit about how long she's been with the district. And it is Speech and Audiologist Month, and we are so thankful for all of them. So we'll turn it over to Mr. Lowers.
Wonderful. Well, good evening, Board of Education members. Thanks for doing what you do every day. We appreciate you. And yeah, I do have two proclamations to make this evening. One is to recognize our wonderful audiologist here. I'll let her say something here in just a moment. Just do that. Yeah. Okay. All right. Sorry, I'm kind of new to this. So this is October 2025. We recognize as National Audiology Awareness Month. Over 36 million Americans live with disabling hearing loss that reduces the ability of a person to communicate with others, which can contribute to the feelings of loneliness, isolation, and frustration. Whereas the American Academy of Audiology started this awareness month in 2008 to generate awareness of hearing health, as well as to stress the importance of hearing loss prevention. And audiologists are the primary healthcare professionals who evaluate, diagnose, test, and manage hearing loss and balance disorders in adults and children. Audiology Awareness Month will raise and generate public awareness of the assessments and treatments that are available for hearing loss and encourage the promotion of hearing loss prevention measures to maintain our hearing health. Again, we're very thankful for all the services that are provided to our kids here in USD 501. And I'll have our audiologist introduce herself and say a few words.
Great, Dr. Lockman.
Hi, board members. Thanks for having me. I'm Dr. Meryl Lockling. I'm the educational audiologist for the district. This is my fourth year being with the district, and I absolutely love it. We have kind of stepped up our kind of screening criteria this year, getting more kids screened and tested and made sure that, you know, if there is some hearing loss going on out there, it's not going undetected, and we can step in and kind of help guide those families and students to whichever kind of intervention services that they need. So thank you so much.
Are there questions from Dr. Lockling before we let her escape. Yeah, Dr. Beeson.
I was just going to note that because of you, Dr. Lockling, and our hearing screenings in the district, my youngest daughter was ultimately referred for tubes and adenoid removal.
Good.
And she did not sleep through probably a single night until she was 5 years old because we had that done.
Yeah.
And I had no idea that she needed that, but it really kind of transformed our life at home. And so that screening makes a huge difference, and I'm very appreciative of the work you
I'm
do.
glad.
Ms. Foley.
I'm just wondering if we are having more early on hearing loss because of headphones, and are we seeing that in our population of students?
Yeah, unfortunately. So I started teaching some hearing screening certification courses through KU in conjunction with 501 to kind of help districts that are in Kansas that don't have an audiologist. So their school nurses come to us and get trained for hearing screening, kind of their protocols. And when I first started that, the rate was about 12% of students from age 6 to 19. Now, unfortunately, that rate has gone up to almost 16 or 17% of our high school, like middle school and high schoolers. So unfortunately, it is going up, trending up, which is unfortunate. So I do talk a lot with students that come in of, using noise protection when they are out, mowing or doing yard work, listening to music, even like informing the parents to say, if you can hear it across the room, it is too loud. If you can't have a conversation with your headphones on, it is too loud. So unfortunately it is going up, but I'm kind of setting the groundwork for those families to maybe be a little bit more conscious about what they're doing.
So it might be something that would be worthwhile for our district to get, reminders out there.
Yeah.
Headphones
absolutely.
aren't necessarily, you don't need to put them in a headphone to look at a screen that's
Right.
2 foot in front of them.
Right.
Just to keep those headphones off, loud music,
Yeah.
music in the car.
Uh-huh.
Those type of things would probably be very beneficial for our families, just as a reminder. I don't think parents think much about it because, they sell them in the stores, they must be all right.
Yep.
So that information would be really powerful, I think. Thank you.
Yeah. no
Thank you.
problem.
Thank you for catching our students and helping them out and making their lives so much better.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dr. Lockling.
And I want to say how fortunate we are to have Dr. Lockman here. There is a real shortage of audiologists out there across school districts. So a major, I just want to say thank you so much for working with the kids. We appreciate what you do every day. And, there's a lot of things we take for granted sometimes in life with hearing, vision, all those kinds of things. We do more than just academics, we screen the kids and with hearing, when I was a kid, my best friend next door, the teachers thought in class that he was being rude and not paying attention. And they found out that he was deaf in one of his ears. And he really was a pretty good kid, but all it took was he needed to sit on the other side of the room so he could hear the teacher. And there was no fixing his hearing loss in that ear. But, people like Dr. Lockling make a difference in the lives of kids. Thank you. We appreciate you. We're glad you're here.
So at this time, as we've mentioned, it's also National Speech Pathologist Month and Occupational Therapist Month, if I'm saying that correctly. And so we thank them as well. They're not here this evening. They do come every evening, every board meeting, I think every year. And you ask them the same question, Dr. Schumacher, what is it that you all do?
Yeah, what do you do every
And
day?
they said,
Yeah.
by now, we should know. So with that graphic that you see, you're going to be seeing some videos over the course of the rest of this week of audiologists, physical therapy. But we just want to say we thank them for all that they do as we celebrate their month as well. And at this time, we'd like to take a few minutes break.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay. for custodians.
I do developmental screenings on Tuesdays. And so those are good, like mid-morning. It's a good time to kind of.
I'll mention this and that's it. You don't even have to necessarily, unless you want to mention just how many people we have.
I might just go ahead and I'll.
All right, board members, as we have taken our photos, I said speech pathologist. What was I thinking?
It's physical
therapy people. Yep. If you were looking physical therapy people, we know we cannot do it without you. It is National Physical Therapy Month. And Mr. Flowers will mention how many physical therapists we have. You know, a long time ago, we stopped reading the full proclamation and we really just highlight people. So I'll turn it over to him to share how many people we have and any comments he'd like to make.
And I believe we have a photo to show you just real quick of our physical therapist. You guys can bring that up. There we go. Yeah, so you can just see we have a total of 5 physical therapists and we have some physical therapist assistants also that work with them. So they do a wonderful job. If you think of range of motion and all the things that they work with kids, they really strive to help our kids have good gross motor movements and to heal often. You know, kids have lots of injuries and things that happen as they're growing. So just a major thank you to the group of physical therapists. They're wonderful people. I love working with them. We're really lucky to have them. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Larson. Okay. So we will move to public communications, which we do not have public communications tonight. So we'll move on to business by consent. And so I'll look for a motion.
Mr. President, I move the board approve the items of business by consent as presented and authorize the board president or superintendent to sign the special project and purchasing contracts for and on behalf of the board.
And a second for that. Dr. Beeson, thank you. Any discussion on any of the consent items? Dr. Bonebreak.
We did get one consultant for Eisenhower. Only one school. This was determined several months ago.
Yeah, I think Ms. Wallace, I think, can speak to
So-
that.
So yes, he was brought in at the end of last year to do kind of a needs assessment around behaviors and classroom management. He presented at the beginning of the year to all new staff, but also presented to all Eisenhower staff. And so he's returning at the end of this month to visit classrooms, have more professional development before and after school between the 2 days, and meet with administration on how things are going and possible next steps if there are continued needs.
Vision's the first thing to go, and I forget what the second is, but why did we pick just Eisenhower? Sounds like Highland Park High School needs a little consulting.
So last year, Eisenhower was having some struggles with behaviors and classroom management. And so that they were brought in specifically to support and help them. And we can bring him back for other schools at the beginning of the year. Whitson also requested him for a half a day. So he's been to other schools and other buildings in the district.
I thought we introduced that behavior modification module to every school, not just Eisenhower 10 years ago.
Yes. So there, I mean, teachers are trained around behaviors and classroom management in an ongoing way. Just this last week during professional development, we had several sessions on classroom management. We have a lot of turnover in new staff and new teachers each year. So it's an ongoing opportunity for them to continue to learn how to manage challenging behaviors in our classrooms.
Thank you.
Any other discussion or questions? Okay, if not, the vote is open in front of you.
And all votes are in. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. And then I'll turn it back over to Dr. Anderson for the superintendent's report.
Thank you. Mr. Jim Edwards, our lobbyist, will be coming forward to talk about our legislative agenda. You should have a united one voice, which are all the Shawnee County school districts. We come together and we present one voice about what we'd like to see from the legislature. Mr. Edwards, we're so fortunate. Come on up, Mr. Edwards. We are so fortunate that he ran a professional development session as he did last year. It's something new we started a couple of years ago. And in doing so, he invites people, often KNEA TCOM and others, about how they can advocate. He also have a group that's about 50 strong that we started 2 years ago. And those individuals also join online generally, and they listen to updates. And he gives a monthly update, if not even more often, depending on what's happening in the legislature, to all staff that signed in on that. So with that intro, I'll turn it over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Anderson. Good evening. What I want to do this evening is, any of you that are familiar with the legislative sessions, you know this will be the second year of the actually 2-year session. So anything that didn't pass last year can flow over to next year. So I want to report at least on the major activities from last year that we were involved with, 501 was involved with, because some of those will be sticking around. So as far as the budget, that was approved, as you remember, $230 million was added into the base foundation. And that was part of the Supreme Court Gannon case. Foundation aid requirement was met. There's some legislators, and I'll mention this later, there's some legislators that believe that was actually an increase in school funding. It wasn't an increase in school funding. It was inflationary rate. So, but anyway, that was met. They also removed the clawback provisions that previously allocated funds that were allocated, and then they said, well, we're not going to pay those. That was removed. And then they also provided $10 million for SPED. That was actually about a $60 million decrease from what they had originally proposed the year prior, because it talked about a 4-year plan, $70 million a year, to bring state funding up to 92% statutory amount. So they're quite below that. Teacher retention and recruitment, the biggest issue there was dealing with capers. That probably will come back again this year. It didn't make it out of committee. There was great interest in that the year before during a special session. In fact, that was one of the bargaining chips that they were going to use. And when they got in session, they forgot about that. So anyway, and essentially that was going to move individuals that are in tier 3 down to tier 2, which would have been a big benefit for individuals being recruited, as well as those individuals that would move from tier 3 down to tier 2 that are existing employees. Would have been a great move. Vouchers and tax credits, they didn't want to deal with that last year. They dealt with it through committee hearings, but it never made any movement outside. That will be an issue that will be back. I can almost guarantee. I don't guarantee too many things in the legislative process, but that's going to be one that will. And SPED, I already talked about that. $10 million. And there are some legislators that want to that feel that it's not being handled well by school districts. And so I think you'll see. I'm not sure if you'll see much more money coming in because of what's been proposed and last year and passed as far as the tax bill and the forecast for what that's going to do to the reserves. So that's last year. And some of those, as I mentioned, are going to come back and they're going to influence this year's in 2026 session. You all have in front of you that, and I just want to go over those generally, and then when we get done, we can talk about more specific questions. But taxpayer dollars for education should only go to public schools that are accountable to students, parents, and communities. Taxpayer dollars really need to be going to institutions that are scrutinized, have transparency and oversight. And quite honestly, schools that vouchers, tax credits, scholarships, whatever you want to call it, whatever they want to call it in today's climate, they do essentially, they do not do that. They are given to schools that have no accountability. Teacher recruitment, I mentioned that earlier. Revised capers, that's a tough issue for the legislature to deal with anyway, because once anybody that's worked with the process knows that when you open a statute, it's truly open for everything. Some legislators would rather not have that open because, as some of you are aware, their capers formula is based on what their salary would be for a full year, not the actual salary that they receive over the 90 days. So in other words, it's annualized. So a legislator that makes $20,000 for a 90-day period, actually their capers would be figured on around $80,000. So
naturally.
Some of you sat in on meetings. I'm looking at one board member who sat in on the meetings this year. In 2024, excuse me, legislature proposed creation of a school finance task force because the school finance formula actually goes out July 1, 2027. So they appointed that committee. It met once in 2024, right towards the end of the year. Didn't go well because the chair that was sitting, or the sitting chair, was not voted in to continue to serve. And so that set the tenor for some real controversial meetings this summer. There's, I don't want to say it, it's not the task force as a whole, but there are some on that task force that have stated public at the meetings that the education system in Kansas is doing kids a disservice in Kansas. They've been called on that, but it still remains. Very doubtful that they're going to come up with something this summer. That was part of the plan but you have to remember that you have two individuals, Senate President and House Speaker, that are both running for statewide offices, and neither one of them probably want an issue like this to come out during the session or before that election takes place. Very doubtful it's going to take, any action will take place. They're not even predicting any further meetings this summer. Doubtful they'll hold any during the session. And if they are, doubtful that anything's going to come out of it. So it'll be a crushed 2027 session. And restore flexibility for special ed, for at-risk students. Again, legislators don't have a clear idea of what is done in local districts, how they deal with the issues, how they allocate funding for the issues within certain categories. And so this is another one of those that there's a lack of understanding. So I went through those real fast. Are there questions? Comments?
Dr.
Yes.
Bomberg.
Yeah, I was just wondering, shouldn't we emphasize in these handouts that it's statutorily required to fund special education at 92%? And they haven't for 14, 15 years, average about 70%. You want to be terse and concise, but it is statutorily required, and they haven't.
It's been congressionally required too, but Congress hasn't met theirs.
And what'll happen in December when we present, there'll be some narrative around these bullets. What they wanted was something concise from us. And so we started something in terms of here are the major bullets. And then each one of the superintendents will speak to one of these areas. And sometimes we change that up. We see who wants to speak to what area. Often I may close at the end, and certainly if that has not come up, that's something that I can certainly say at the very end in terms of here's some things to be keeping in mind. But that may be something that's already said prior to then, since there's quite a bit of language. We'll remind board members the date in December that we'll be speaking, all of the county superintendents. So if anyone would like to attend, certainly you're welcome to do that as well. I'll turn it back over to questions. And at the very end, I believe Ms. Lister, our clerk, has the approved date from the legislature of when we'll be coming, and we'll share that at the very end as well.
Mr. Munoz.
Mr. Edwards, thanks for all your work. Would you remind me again, the working after retirement penalty? Help me remember what that was about.
There were provisions, I'm trying to think of how far back that goes, that when there was a shortage of superintendents as well as teachers, they allowed them to come back and the district would have to pay the amount for the CAPERS contribution.
That's their rule.
The rationale for it was as far as I'll say the integrity of CAPERS. If you have an individual that's taking a spot that's working and they are not putting into CAPERS, that would be a job that somebody else, it's looking at the long-term integrity of CAPERS.
But if they're not putting in, why should they be penalized?
Well, they aren't penalized. The district has to pay that portion.
Why?
So that they can make up for that.
Make up for what?
Make up for the contribution that would have been made by an individual that was hired that wasn't retired and would be paying into CAPERS.
They took somebody's spot.
Yeah, it makes absolutely no sense. Yeah, but they're.
I don't know if we'll figure it out tonight, Dr. Bomberg. Ms. Bully.
So what concerns do you have maybe for public education in this next session that just off the top of your head that you will be working for us to keep an eye on and maybe testify?
I think anywhere they can save money with any program in the state, they're going to try to do that. If you all recall, last year, about a year and a half ago, the Supreme Court gave up, I'll call it custody, of their latest ruling, which meant that they had control over it. So if something didn't take place that should take place, and they could act on that. With them giving up that, it would have to, if funding was reduced, it'd have, and a lawsuit definitely would be filed by some district. That's going to take four years to get to the Supreme Court, maybe. So it's, one is funding, and the other is there's a lack of understanding, and because there's a lack of understanding, it becomes a lack of trust of school districts. Very misplaced, but it's.
Do you think we'll have any concerns about block grants?
By the legislature or by federal?
Either or, but I'm asking you about the state. I mean, do you think we'll roll back into something like under Governor Brownback?
That's hard to say. I think that experiment was so soundly, or is so soundly recognized by individuals as being a failure. But I have to remind everybody that it was his idea, but there were at least 21 senators and 63 representatives that supported that. There were more. I don't know the exact number on the final vote, but there was at least that.
Well, I'm really appreciative of the reminders you send out to us of what is happening and how we can react. I'm really glad to see your group growing with parents as well. So I just appreciate all the work that you put in and keeping us informed. It helps me when I go to the State House a lot. So I really appreciate it. And just more voices helps us, I think.
Very definitely. And thank you for that. And any of you that aren't signed up for it, you can always talk to Dr. Gray and he'll get you on the list.
Anything else?
So if there are no other questions, then when you get to discussion, again, this is the document in terms of the bulleted areas that we will be speaking to in December. And we just ask that you give us the approval to proceed forward with this language. And the other superintendents will be asking for that as well. We thank Mr. Edwards for all that he continues to do as we keep individuals updated. And I believe all of our DCAC parents and other parents have joined his group as well. So as things come up, we'll be letting them know who they can write to and what things they may want to write about and what group might want to come out and just have their voices heard. So we're excited about the session ahead. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item is our enrollment update. As Dr. Kipp comes forward to talk about the enrollment update, on the heels of Ms. Wallace talking about behavior and behavior management and how we're addressing young people, keep in mind, we have districts generally have about 10% or so of the staff that retire every year. And so, you can expect about 10% of the people will be new and wherever you are, somewhere thereabouts. So the larger you are, the more likely that is. With that in mind, as we look at our enrollment, ask Dr. Kipp to look 2, 3, 4 years out so that we really can begin to plan. So as people retire, we are getting a better feel of what's the student population based on birth rate going to look like. So we determine how many people do we need to actually bring in. With that, we'll turn it over to Dr. Kipp.
All right. Thank you. Good evening. Okay, we'll go ahead and pull up that first graph, Mr. Reiner. We'll kind of spend some time on this. This is basically the orange line is the past 10 years of our district enrollment. So if you go back all the way 10 years, we were well above 14,000 students total. The blue line is where I predicted the enrollment would land. So luckily they're pretty cohesive and there were some blurps here and there, but as you can see where it stops, the orange line stops this past, September 20th count date we just had this past September. So we came in at 12,854, which is a loss of 150 students. Now, as I project out another 3 years to 2028, there's going to be a slow, steady decline. The first year, we're going to drop about 50, next year about 22, and then finally in 2028, we'll drop another 78 students for a total of another 150. I do want to point out, some of the trends that are going on around the state, around the country. As I was putting this together, I kind of wanted to know, How are other districts in the state doing? You know, September 20th count date was just a few weeks ago. So, but some schools like Wichita, they're reporting it down 1,500 students down. Olathe's down 333 students. So this isn't just isolated to Topeka Public Schools. This is something that's, in fact, the entire state of Alabama is seeing the largest decline in 40 years. And so we're trying to find the etiology or the reasons why enrollment is declining. First and foremost, that we've talked about several times, is birth rates. Really, since the 2028 recession, birth rates across the US have declined. Another element that I discovered, dropping infertility rates. I'm not a medical doctor, but apparently that's kind of a trend that we're seeing in the research. The fertility rates of women have started to decline. And also the aging population. You know, you can look at the census data around Topeka. We're not really losing people. They're just getting older. They're not having children. So therefore, we're dropping in enrollment for school-age kids. We can definitively say there's not a COVID baby boom that has occurred, because we're in year 6 since the COVID pandemic. Overall, nationwide, the National Center for Educational Statistics is predicting a 7.6% drop by 2031. That's about 4 million students. And, you know, internally, we're trying to figure out who are these kids? Are they leaving? Is it a certain pattern or trend? I mentioned Alabama. They said the majority of their kids in their state were Hispanics, and they've simply just disappeared. They are not transferring to private schools, or it's really difficult to track homeschool movements and things like that, but the majority of them are disappearing. And so as we go to the next slide, we'll kind of look at the racial breakdown. On the left was last year, and on the right is this year. So really not a whole lot has changed in terms of white, Black, Pacific Islander, Native American. Those percentages are pretty stable. As I mentioned, the Hispanic population in Topeka Public Schools has dropped about 1%. And the multiracial category has jumped up 1%. So correlation doesn't equal causation, but certainly the one group that has kind of declined is the Hispanic population. And just like in Alabama, we have no idea where some of these kids have gone. I'll stop there for a second. Are there questions so far? I threw a lot at you.
Mr. Tatum.
Thanks for being here to kind of unpack this for us, Dr. Kipp.
Sure.
So just to be clear, you mentioned that there's not a COVID baby boom. So there's a loss of students based upon the fact that in our area, there's just not a lot of new births, kids, you know, toddlers turning into preschoolers and them turning into kindergartners. On the other hand, you cited some information from Alabama and maybe some other states about some of their students just disappearing. So which of the two, or is it both? Is your theory that we may be feeling the effects of both of those things occurring at the same time?
Absolutely. I don't think they're mutually exclusive.
Okay.
I think they're happening in parallel. We're being, the layers of impact are the fertility rates, are the low live births, are the migration to, you know, wherever they're going. I've found anecdotally some of our families from Venezuela and some of the Central American nations have self-deported. Now that doesn't mean it's necessarily a trend, but I was able to identify certain pockets of kids that have just left and went back to their home country, Mexico.
So are you thinking that the 1% loss from our Latinx kids could account for
I don't think it counts for the whole 1%, well, the whole decline in our district enrollment, because it's hitting everywhere. It's hitting elementary.
Okay,
Highland Park's down 100 kids. Topeka High is down 60. And in elementary, Ross is a little low. Jardine Elementary is a little low. I mean, it's pretty much spread out across all of those elementary schools. So,
And then the state of Kansas is lower than
Yep.
it normally is. So we're seeing a statewide trend of a
Statewide.
decline. So that's why birth enrollment
okay,
is part of what we anticipate will be the continued decline in
Okay.
Kansas.
it's
Okay.
kind of the perfect storm.
sure, sure. Okay, thank you.
Yep. Okay, so we'll hop on over to the next slide. As we kind of talked about race, we kind of like to look at subgroups too. In light of all these changes in demographics, have our special ed population or our EL populations changed? In fact, our special ed population jumped up just about 0.9% from last year. Pretty stable, right around that 22-23% of our kids have an IEP. On the flip side, the orange line is our ELL population, or EL. Now I've heard they're going to be called MLs for multi-language, but I digress. So the ELL population has actually decreased 0.7. So you could, correlation doesn't equal causation, but I think some of that loss in Hispanic students could be also built into that loss in ELL as well. And finally, kind of on a positive note, as we talk about decreasing enrollment and things like that, attendance is one of the greatest correlates to success in academics. It's really hard to learn if you're not here. And I know this is one of the board's goals. It's Ms. Wallace, Dr. Anderson's really big push to reduce chronic absenteeism. And I was so proud of this graph. We kind of looked at the last 5-6 years. And our chronic absenteeism has a wonderful, you want to see a declining slope in the numbers. The district rate, state rate, is about 19%. So I feel if we're on the same trajectory, using the same implementation and strategies, I feel like we're going to hit that state mark here in the next few years. So, and with that, I will take any questions you have and about enrollment or absenteeism.
Other questions for Dr. Kipp?
All right, you bet.
Thank you, Dr. Kipp. Okay. So now it's the discussion. Yeah, Miss Boley. I mean, you could save it for comments, or you could say it. It doesn't matter. I saw you half raising your hand earlier, so I wasn't sure if you wanted to talk or not.
I just want to state that these numbers are showing us a real challenge in our future in financing our district, and that we should be starting to wrap our head around that challenge and that funding, and the size of the district that we have now may not be same size that we need. So it's going to be a challenging, years coming ahead.
Yep. Thank you. Okay, now we will move on to the discussion item, which is the One United Voice. And I think an opportunity to discuss, and then potentially there's an action item on
Yes.
it as well.
Yeah, and if there are any other questions, because you all had a discussion with our lobbyists here since we lined that up, but if there are other questions for me or comments for me or the lobbyists, we're happy to speak to that. And if you approve of these bulleted items and agree with them, then we'd love to see that action this evening.
Is there discussion or comments from the board? Yeah, Ms. Boley.
So once the superintendents speak with the legislators in December, what does your group do after that? What happens with this? Is it just one statement, or like one statement since it's One United Voice? Or are you constantly pushing this through during this session?
We are, which is why we started through Mr. Edwards, and if he's still here, he certainly can add to this, but while we started through Mr. Edwards, the legislative lobbying group, the advocacy group, we got the idea from Blue Valley, so they have a parent group, so we started a parent and teacher, and we all know that some of those groups made some headway in some of the legislative pieces that were passed. So we're excited about that. Every district really is tailoring it to ways that they need to fit them. And so, for example, some may feel most strongly about a particular area like special education that might be impacting them with some very personal stories. You may remember the one year a parent actually came and spoke on behalf of one of the districts as well. And so, you know, each of us within our own communities, we really are personalizing this in a way that makes the most sense. So in Topeka, if I may speak to some of the things we know, what we already shared, what we're going to continue to do, but what I would like to see us begin to do with our teacher piece, you know, we really thought that teacher recruitment and retention was gonna happen and that CAPERS is gonna be revised, and we were disappointed when it wasn't. And so that lends an opportunity for our new teachers, our current teachers, people who are joining who may not have those same benefits to be educated as part of our professional development, and then arming them with what advocacy looks like. We're so excited that DCAC has chosen parental engagement as their study topic. So we'll be arming the DCAC with ways they can be allies and advocates in this space with educating others and advocating. So we're really going to personalize each of these bullets for particular categories for Topeka. And then the superintendents in the county, we get the privilege of having lunch every month together, the last part of each month. So we'll be talking about the impact we're having in some of our ideas. Does that answer the question?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments around the One United Voice? Mr. Munoz.
I mean, I'll just sort of state that all of these seem to be fairly common sense issues that that we can, you know, I certainly agree with. I'd encourage us to go and vote to approve this and obviously be engaged this next legislative session and make sure that our legislators know that that we're in support of making sure our students have the best chance possible. And it really includes all of these bullet points as well as many more. So I support this.
Any other thoughts? And if the board feels like comfortable enough with this discussion, then we can. I think it sounds like we're probably comfortable enough to take action on that tonight. And so we can move into 21, which is the action item for the One United Voice. So I would just need a motion for that.
Mr. President, I move the board expedite approval of the One United Voice document as discussed tonight.
And a second, Dr. Beeson. Any other discussion? I thought Mr. Munoz was raising his hand there for a second, but he did not. Seeing none, we'll go to a vote.
And the vote is open. All votes are in and the motion carries unanimously.
Great.
Just so everyone is aware, the date for the Shawnee County delegation is December 8th between 10:30 and 11:30 a.m.
December 8 between 10:30 and 11:30. Let the record show.
We thank the board for that, and we are excited that we extended an invitation to every legislator to come for Principal for the Day. So if they don't know what's going on in public schools or just want to learn more, reconnect with schools, and we have several supporters in the legislative body. We look forward to seeing all of the legislative candidates come out next month for Principal for the Day.
Thank you, Dr. Anderson. So we will move into board member comments. And then we will go back into executive session. So we'll keep our comments short, hopefully. Dr. Von Break, you can start.
Health and wellness met, and there's been a significant migration of insurance plans from the most expensive but lowest deductible into the cheapest monthly expense, but the highest deductible, which is far cheaper than the Plan A, which like has $1,000 deductible, but a $2,000 a month fee. So that's positive. And the finance committee met and Mr. Menke discussed a lot of that. There is some concern about the food service. One, the prices are going up and there hasn't been an inflationary increase in compensation for that, but we may lose our funding come no wonder the one. No wonder the one.
Thank you, Dr. Bombrick. Dr. Beeson.
All right. Also attended Health Insurance Committee. I think Dr. Bombrick pretty much covered it. I visited Landon Middle School in Highland Park over the past couple of weeks. My visit to Highland Park actually coincided yesterday with a candidate forum on the east side. And one, I want to speak to our administrators at Highland Park High School, just moving through the building. The relationships built there are phenomenal. There wasn't a kid that they didn't know their names or have something personal to talk to them about. And then visiting the ROTC program at Highland Park. It has doubled in size recently. It's like 65% female students now. The instructors told me they had representation essentially from every sports team, every activity at Highland Park. And they took me through their curriculum. It's just so much more than I knew that it was. And so for my own education, that was really, really impactful. And I just want to say, based on feedback from the East Side Forum last night, I want to sort of challenge all of us on the board to continue to apply that lens of equity as we evaluate every decision that we make. Because I think there's a lot of feeling in that East Side community of sort of forgottenness or less than. And so that was certainly my takeaway as a candidate last night on the school board. And so I just wanted to share that from the community members. Yeah. Also, like I said, visited Landon. Mrs. Wagner and I were colleagues when I was in my very first teaching job. So she and I go way back, but it was lovely to spend time with her and learn more about Landon as well. Got to attend the ribbon cutting at the vault at Topeka High, which is the new Invista branch. I had to leave before all the festivities really got going, but students were so excited. The state treasurer made the first deposit into the bank, and it's certainly something I would have really loved as a kid. So glad that we're doing that. I think that's all I have, and I'm just going to stop there.
Thank you, Dr. Beeson. Ms. Bully.
We had personnel today, committee, and some of the things to report out of there is we have a job fair next week in Emporia. And at the same time, we are going to be speaking to the college about sending us more of their student teachers to try to build a better relationship with Emporia to give us more of their students. It seems like once we get those students in our district, we do a really nice job of keeping them for future teaching jobs. So we're really wanting to do that. Job offers have already been extended to our this semester student teachers. So we hope that we get a lot of those. We also started a sub-orientation program, and 76 subs completed that orientation, and it has really shifted the talk around Shawnee County about where is a good place to sub. for a lot of our certified teachers that are retired, and they are saying that Topeka Public Schools is a great place to go, and this orientation is empowering them to enter into our classrooms more ready for that sub job. 26 of our buildings now have a standing sub in their building to help with those absenteeisms of staff. And so that is just a real gift to those principals. We met for a calendar committee, and a great start between KNEA or Topeka's NEA and the district and putting a calendar together. Strategic planning has started. That meeting was so wonderful. I was going to ask if maybe they could present what was accomplished from our last strategic plan, the list that was placed on the board of accomplishments from putting those goals up 5 years ago and what has happened since then, I think would be really wonderful to present to the whole board. Acacia meeting on Monday morning with all sports directors and coaches to discuss moving forward in high school, middle school sports. We had a finalist for the Kansas School Counselor of the Year, Miss Reinberg, and she was just so surprised when Dr. Anderson and her herd of people came running in with her family and everybody. It's just like a game show, people. It's like a game show. And she was just so surprised. She was doing lunch duty with kindergartners. And so they were really surprised because there were balloons in the room. Also National School Lunch Week this week. And I just want to thank all of those people in are feeding our students. They just do a remarkable job for what they do have. But another one of those challenges, we are going to have to be thinking about those rising prices for lunches and pullback of any federal assistance that might help us. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Boyd. Mr. Tatum.
Dr. Bonebrake talked about the Finance Committee meeting that we had earlier this week, and did a really nice job of kind of summarizing that. So I won't go into any additional details, but I think that's the only committee that I have had since we met last. Like Dr. Beeson, I was also at the candidate forum last night, and also had the opportunity to participate in the DCAC's candidate forum recently. Seems like there's been a lot of candidate forums. It is nice. And one of the things that I'm really enjoying about participating in those events is it gives me the opportunity to talk about the things that Topeka Public Schools is doing right. It's an opportunity to educate the community on the things that are going well for the district and to talk about where we're headed and where we see things going in the future. So really just honored to be able to participate in those kinds of community-based events. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Tatum. Mr. Munoz.
See, policy and equity don't meet for a little while. I believe the 29th, I believe, for the policy. Last week I stopped by Scott and I read to a class, actually 3 classes of second graders in English and Spanish. So that was fun, and they're a great age. They all had questions. You got to really be good at managing these, because you ask, they start chiming in. It's hard to get them back corralled and listening to the story again. So, and I'll be back into a visit another local school here soon, next week, I believe. Last thing I'll share is that I stopped in at the Philippine community in Topeka, had a festival recently, and you will be surprised at how many of those individuals are teachers in 501. And we know that, but I think so many of them came up to me and then sort of shared their experience. So somebody who was teaching previously, I think, and she said in Las Vegas in Nevada, and is here, and how much she enjoys Topeka and our school district. And another individual, I think, is teaching at Highland Park, and was very inquisitive about, 501 and getting to know more. So I got a lot of positive feedback from individuals who are visiting our community, who are working for 501, and shared their experience from their particular perspective. So and there was a lot of great food. So I encourage you all next year to stop by there next year. That's my report.
Thank you, Mr. Munoz. Mrs. Schmidt.
We began our facilities and operations strategic planning. We had that kickoff for this last week and heard some amazing reports, and we'll continue to work on that. I too have been a part of several of the forums that have been taking place across the city. And I too, like Keith, the one piece that I really enjoy is hearing people's questions, because it gives us a lens into what is important to them or what they're concerned about. And a theme in a couple of those that I think presents an opportunity to us. One is, I know historically you've done like listening tours, and I think it would be really interesting to bring a couple board members along with you maybe and do one of those, at least specifically on the east side of town, because they do feel a little undervalued or unheard. We also had a student, a graduated last year, student speak. And I think at the Topeka West Forum, one of the questions the kids had for us was, I had talked about this all-employee staff survey that we had done. And their question was, what about doing that for students? So it just really reiterates that people have something that they want to say, and they don't always feel, I think it's probably intimidating for a lot of people to come, because we did encourage them that this is an open meeting and we encourage them to come. But I think maybe we need to take the first step in meeting them where they're at and try to start those conversations so that they feel heard. So just an outtake from those.
Thank you, Ms. Schmidt. Yeah, I think the DCAC forum, which I was able to attend, we talked a little bit about, they talked about board visibility and transparency and how things seem easy, but maybe we need to be more strategic about how we get out there. One of the things that we had talked about long ago was, and maybe just in passing, was going to PTO meetings and trying to divide and conquer and be a presence at least once in a while, just to listen. Similar for DCAC, but a lot of times for DCAC at PTO, it's more of a report out, I feel like. Ours could be more receptive. I did strategic planning on Tuesday with Dr. Beeson, which she forgot about and didn't talk about, but with Mrs. Nichols and Mr. Dick around college and career readiness. And that was a great session. We discussed finance and personnel. Ms. Bully touched on Ms. Reinberg, and we also recognized, I think maybe it was last week, the Kansas Teacher of the Year nominees, Ms. Mendez at Whitson, and Mr. Wrigley, who just recently visited us at Topeka High. And also, I believe last week at Sheldon, Advisors Excel had their coat and shoe drive, which is a very powerful and impactful thing for our families. So I definitely want to recognize that. Last night I was unable to make the forum because I was at middle school football. All of our middle schools played football yesterday afternoon and into the evening. And as always, the Schumachers are there for the band, but always there to support the kids who all, it was actually the Eisenhower French game, went down to the wire. French almost ran it in with 0 seconds left, and the kid was down at the 1 yard line. And it was a lot of emotions for everybody. And it was a fantastic evening. And I think, just one other thing coming up, the Fall Art Palooza sounds really cool. That's on, I believe, Saturday, the 18th. Quincy sponsors that, but it's up at Noto from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. in case we need something to do this weekend. And so that is it for my report. And so we will move back into executive session. So I need a motion for that.
Mr. President, I move that we go into executive session for 20 minutes to discuss an item protected by attorney-client privilege, including obtaining advice from counsel. The board will return to open session in the boardroom at 7:42. The superintendent and executive staff are invited into executive session.
Is there a second for that? Dr. Beeson? Any other thoughts? Okay, we'll look for a vote by hand. Those in favor? And anybody opposed? No? Okay, thank you.
Vote is unanimous.
They can go ahead and still wrap all this on up.
Parts of it.
Yeah, because when they come in, they'll just.
Yeah,
They don't even have
I'll
to
get
stop.
started.
and I can do that by hand.
Okay, great.
Pardon? Oh, good, okay. There's only one contract.
Once this continue, or we have to keep going?
Yeah.
Motion to adjourn. We're back into open session and I
We're
make a
back.
motion that we adjourn the meeting.
And a second. Mr. Munoz, all in favor, raise your. And any opposed? Okay, thank you.
And the meeting is adjourned at 7.